One of the most common questions I get in regards to Grand Theft Auto Online is when does it take place? Before the story mode of GTA 5, after the story mode of Grand Theft Auto 5, or is it in its own separate timeline? That's something I see a lot, and Rockstar has had some confusing answers as to when this multiplayer mode actually takes place. And I figured this would be a good time to talk about this, because recently Rockstar announced that with the release of the PlayStation 5, Grand Theft Auto Online is going to be getting its own standalone version. It's going to be completely separating itself from single player. And so I think this has created an interesting story of, well, when does it take place? Is it in its own timeline? How will things function going forward? We'll discuss all of that in this video today. So for a time, there was actually a clear-cut answer as to when Grand Theft Auto Online took place. And Rockstar told us about this on a Newswire post right before multiplayer actually launched. So, in a Newswire article titled GTA Online Details, Game Day Access Info and More, which came out on September 30th, 2013. And this was an article where Rockstar talked about some of the things you can expect, how often Grand Theft Auto Online will get updated, tips and tricks, and a whole lot more. And one of the things they talk about is when does GTA Online take place? And this is Rockstar's official answer. Some people who've been playing through Grand Theft Auto 5 Story Mode have been inquiring how the narrative of GTA Online correlates or crosses over. Grand Theft Auto Online is set a few months prior to the events of Grand Theft Auto 5's single-player story. Alright, so I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, well, that means the answer is pretty cut and dry. Rockstar said it right there that it takes place a few months prior to the events of GTA 5's single-player. Now, we don't know what a few months is. If I had to take a guess, I would say 3 to 6 months. If it was any longer than that, like a year or more, I feel like they would have said like a year or so. But it happens before everything occurs in Grand Theft Auto 5. Before Franklin and Lamar steal those cars and the entire story begins, it takes place a couple of months before that. And for a time, that actually made a lot of sense. Because all of the Grand Theft Auto Online updates, like the Beach Bum update, Business Update, High Life Update, Independence Day, even ones like Ill-Gotten Gains Part 1 and Part 2, and the Heist Update themselves, they had no conflict with the story in single player. So all of the characters that appeared, it made sense for them to appear, like Lester and Trevor. And there were plenty of other characters that showed up as well, like Lamar. He's the guy who actually leads you through the tutorial, which would kind of make sense. So pretty much everything that Rockstar did from 2013 to 2015 made sense for Grand Theft Auto Online to take place before the story mode. There were no conflicts. And then in October of 2015, I think Rockstar did the first thing that kind of started to not make sense. And I feel like this is kind of when they gave up on the whole timeline taking place before. And that was the Benny's update, or I should say the Lowriders update, which introduced Benny's Original Motorworks and his entire new shop. Well, what that shop did is it actually changed an entire building. And what's weird about that is if GTA Online takes place before the story, how come it's not there in single player? That would be kind of weird that a new shop like Benny's would open up, and then a few months later, when single player is supposed to roll around, it closes down, and the building is no longer there. So that's the first sort of sign we saw where it's like, okay, how does this make sense for GTA Online to take place before the story? And we saw even more instances of that, but I think we got our clear, cut and dry answer of how Rockstar was going to handle this going forward in 2017's gun running update. During one of the Mobile Operations Center missions called Mole Hunt, we actually hear one of the characters, Agent 14, refer to the year that this mission was taking place in directly. And I think this is the only time this has occurred in Grand Theft Auto Online. But take a listen to Agent 14 say this.
We're mole hunting. One of our agents has been turned by a rival state. Yeah, it's 2017. I can't believe it either. He's using our own facilities to down the network and cover his escape. We're allocating you some lethal technology to stop that happening. The mobile jammers will have protection. Deal with the guard details, take out the jammers, and we'll be able to trace this mole.
So Agent 14 confirms that when that mission was released, which was in the middle of summer 2017, that Grand Theft Auto Online is taking place in 2017. And so because of that, that statement naturally contradicts what Rockstar said a day before the release of GTA Online, where they said it took place a couple of months before the story, but right there, Agent 14 is admitting it happens in 2017. So that's obviously very confusing, and I think those are the two best examples of how these points just don't make sense. And so I really only have two theories for what Rockstar could have decided to do. The first theory is that during the beginning, in 2013, really to 2015, they wanted to keep Grand Theft Auto Online's idea as it happening before the story. Now, obviously, a lot has changed in the past 7 years. I don't think Rockstar expected GTA Online to be as successful as it is, to have as many updates as it has. So clearly, their thinking in 2013 is different from their thinking today in 2020. So I believe they originally wanted to always keep it before the story mode. However, sometime in 2015, they acknowledged that that might not necessarily be the case. And in 2017, we got confirmation that they switched to a modern timeline. And I think that ever since that update in 2017, the gun running update, each update that has come out has been in the present day. So for example, the After Hours update, which came out in July of 2018, I feel like Rockstar put that in July 2018 in Grand Theft Auto Online time. Same with the Diamond Casino and Resort that came out in the summer of 2019. I feel like they intended to launch that in the summer of 2019, as far as how it fits in GTA Online. So that's the theory. Now, the only problem with that is it still conflicts heavily with things in single player. Let's just use this example recently, the Diamond Casino and Resort. It's obviously been completely revamped. If you go in single player, that's not there. And so the only way that would make sense is if Grand Theft Auto Online transitioned to present day, because in 2013, when you play as Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, that obviously isn't the case. It's the Be Lucky Los Santos old casino that we never got to utilize. So that's kind of the first theory. The second theory, and I think this is the one that Rockstar will probably use, is that Grand Theft Auto Online is in its own timeline as far as how it fits into the narrative of GTA single-player experiences. And the reason I use multiple GTA single-player experiences, as we've seen characters from Grand Theft Auto 4 return, The Ballad of Gay Tony, The Lost and the Damned in multiple updates. I mean, just think Tony Prince in the After Hours update. Malk was featured in the Bikers update. He was from the Lost and the Damned DLC in Grand Theft Auto 4. So many characters have returned, not only from GTA 5 single player, but Grand Theft Auto 4. So that's why I use multiple GTA titles there. But like I said, it's in its own timeline, completely separate from the story. Grand Theft Auto Online is just existing currently in Grand Theft Auto 5's world. But I actually think that that is going to change. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Rockstar is preparing for Grand Theft Auto Online to go to a standalone version, which means it's going to be completely separate from any single-player Grand Theft Auto. And I think this is them trying to transition to the future. Because what happens when GTA 6 is released? How are they going to tie the old Grand Theft Auto Online to the new Grand Theft Auto? I think there might be a little bit of trouble there. So what Rockstar is doing by separating these worlds is essentially allowing them to create an amazing Grand Theft Auto 6 single-player experience without trapping the online version with it. That way, online can be continuously updated. Now, at this point in time, we know almost nothing about GTA 6, especially the details when it comes to what's actually going to be in the game. So we don't know how the map is going to work. Will our characters be able to, fly to another city if GTA 6 takes place in another city? We don't know how it's going to work with new vehicles that are potentially added to Grand Theft Auto 6 and the ones that are only in Grand Theft Auto 5 or only in Grand Theft Auto Online. At this point, there is a lot of unknowns. But I think it's clear by separating online from single player that I believe Rockstar wants to create this multiplayer world in its own timeline. So I know this is going to be a very discussion-heavy video, so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. When do you believe Grand Theft Auto Online takes place? Do you think it still takes place before Grand Theft Auto 5 story mode? Do you think it takes place in modern times, so right now we'd be in 2020? Or do you think it takes place in some alternative timeline where a certain year might not even be a factor? Let me know what you guys are thinking in those comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.